Right now, I mean, I'm more concerned about winning ball games and doing whatever it takes to win a ball game.
Do you want the NFL rushing title? Will you play next week? Do you want 25 carries?
I prefer to have a NFC championship game and win that and go into the Super Bowl and win that over title. But if the title came first, which it may happen, hopefully I get an opportunity to get it. And if I get it, well, but there's a lot more to win besides the NFL rushing title.
Just 5 more yards to tie Barry Foster, by the way.
Yeah, no problem.
One last question is, just on the issue, I'll let you go here, the issue of contract.
That's already dead. Let's kill it right now.
Right. Bye.
Take it easy.
That's the way to end an interview. Mort with Emmitt Smith. So the latest snapshot of the NFC playoff picture featuring Emmitt Smith, who leads the NFL in touchdowns. The divisions are set. Niners have had the home field advantage since Saturday. In the wild card chase, a Green Bay loss or a Philly loss combined with a Redskin win means Washington gets the 3rd wild card, a Green Bay win at Minnesota, and they are there. Is that clear? Dan?
In case you're just joining us from that Monday night game with the Dallas convincing win over the Falcons, we will get you caught up to date. Again tonight in Chicago. You see, Miami has never defeated the Bulls, and the odds for snapping that streak didn't look too promising this time around either. The defending champs were still stinging from Saturday night's stadium loss to the Sixers, Chicago's 3rd home loss of the season. The Bulls have been struggling. Michael struggled tonight. First half, he had the shots, but give credit to Kevin Edwards and the Heat D. They put a hand in his face, and not just one hand, usually a couple, but even when he had the wide open jumper, still couldn't bury it. Michael trying to get a little bit pumped up in the second half, couldn't do it. And even when he got by Kevin Edwards, Ronnie Sankley was there. Michael pleads for a little bit of help. Glenn Rice didn't need any. He had 21 on the night. Another 3. He had 5 of those. The Heat led by as many as 15. Kevin Edwards beats the 3rd quarter buzzer, 71-56. Michael finds his stroke. After going 0 for 11 from the floor, he cans his first jumper. Then he decides to get a little bit cocky. How about from 3? Good. Vintage Mike. Around and over the Heat. 15 of his 18 points coming in the 4th quarter. And then the fall away, 2 hands in his face. Raise your hand if you're sure. The Bulls win it by the final of 86-82. Jordan had 18, as I mentioned, 15 in the 4th quarter. Pippen chips in with 22, 7 rebounds. Glenn Rice 21, but in the losing effort. Michael's night, take out the first 3 quarters. He'd love to. 4th quarter, that's when he stepped it up a notch, lighting up the night, going 6 for 9 from the floor after getting the big donut in the 1st quarter. And matter of fact, for the first 3 quarters, for that matter.
Big donut for the Atlanta Falcons tonight. Not necessarily a shutout at the hands of the Dallas Cowboys, but a bloody mess otherwise.
Yes, Deion Sanders had the rough night, but Chris Mortensen standing by, watching the carnage down there, and you have to wonder, Jerry Glanville, he's supposed to be back next year, but everybody's talking about the Dallas Cowboys. Mort, take it away.
That's right, Dan. Right here is Michael Irvin. Michael, you were there when they were 1-15. When you were 1-15, just 4 short years ago. Can you remember what it was like to be 1-15 to the NFC's champion?
Oh, no doubt you can remember, you know, and I talked with all the guys that was here during that time, and I try to show the young guys and try to express upon them what it was like. You know, you want to remember so you don't ever want to go back to it. I mean, that's the whole purpose of going out every day and working hard. And we worked hard, and we've accomplished something tonight.
Big play tonight. Deion had a pretty good first quarter against you, but in the 2nd quarter, especially late, 3rd and 5, you run a little short route, you catch it, Deion's on your back, you break his tackle and go for 37. Tell me what happened there.
Well, we knew, you know, first of all, we knew coming into the Dome, they were going to be, everybody's going to be hyped and ready to play football, and they had a great first quarter. You know, they made plays up and down the field the first quarter. The thing was, Norv and Coach Alexander, they told me, so, you know, Michael, you got to try to make plays early just to get the whole team and try to settle down the crowd. And we made plays early enough in the game to settle down the crowd and get the whole team going.
Now, Deion's not known as a good tackler. Did you guys talk about that? Did you take advantage of that?
No, Deion has been tackling great lately. He really has. He's been making some real aggressive tackles, some real aggressive plays when you watch him on film. So that wasn't anything we worried about. What we had to do was come in and try to worry about what we did best. And then we had to play our kind of football and not let anybody dictate to us to how we were going to play football.
You have a Pro Bowl vote this week. Who are you going to vote for a cornerback, the 2 cornerbacks in the NFC?
Well, there's no doubt. I get the chance to play against the 2 cornerbacks every year. And you know, to my misfortune, they follow me all over the field, and that's Deion Sanders and Darrell Green, and also Eric Allen. I think he's a great corner. Those three guys I usually play every year and enjoy the challenge.
Michael, let me ask you this. You signed a contract extension at the start of this year. You're a 5-year guy. Knowing that free agency is now coming about for 5-year guys, do you wish that maybe you just held off a little bit and seen what you could have got? These are 2 spectacular seasons you put back to back.
No, Chris, not really, you know, because I took that in. I took that in. I thought about that when I was making my decision. And my whole thought was, Michael, you know, you don't play football unless you're playing football for what you want. And I'm happy with what I got.
One final question about your matchup with Deion tonight. Was there mutual respect? Was there a lot of talking going on?
No, we really don't. Deion and I are real good friends. You know, he called me the other night, and the only thing he said, Michael, no slants tonight, no slants. And so I told Coach we weren't expecting to run some slants, so we just tried to run, you know, like zero routes that straight down in there. It was a good challenge. I enjoyed going against Deion.
I lied. One last one. Can this team beat the 49ers and get to the Super Bowl?
Well, you know, that's so far off if it happens. Right now we're gonna have fun with this win, and then we're gonna go in tomorrow. We'll take a break tomorrow and go on Wednesday and think about Chicago and see what happens there. The 49ers, they're a great ball club, and I wish them the best.
All right, with the NFC East NFC East champion Dallas Cowboys, I'm Chris Mortensen. Let's go back to Sportscenter.
All right, Mort, thanks very much. Well, Michael Irvin still leading the NFL in average distance per reception out, 18.8 yards. Your money's worth.
12 victories. Last time they did that was 1983. Steelers have 10 wins. They'd like to have one more. Eric Green, speaking of the Steelers, rejoined the Steelers Monday after sitting out 6 games for violating the league's drug policy. Head coach Bill Cowher says he wants to see how his tight end practices before deciding whether or not to activate Eric Green for Pittsburgh's game with Cleveland this weekend. Maybe coach should look at these numbers. When Green and Neil O'Donnell are in the lineup, the Steelers no longer a one-dimensional attack. Featuring Barry Foster, O'Donnell, who could be activated for the game, has combined with Green to help Pittsburgh win 6 of the 9 games they have been involved in. Without the pair, the steel curtain stays down. The Steelers' Barry Foster underwent an MRI today. It confirmed that he has an upper back sprain. It occurred on this play in the loss to the Vikings. Foster, who is fighting for the rushing title, could be ready for the Cleveland Browns on Sunday. Anthony Munoz will call it quits following Sunday's game with the Colts. The 11-time All-Pro has been on the disabled list twice this season. Harold Green rushed for 190 yards against the Patriots on Sunday. A good portion of those yards acquired by following the blocks of number 78. Our Monday evening quarterback, Jack Edwards, is under center, ready to take a few snaps tonight. And among the plays he's called in the huddle include the X's and O's of Dan Marino's Sunday drive and Sterling Sharp's day at the Improv.
The Packers' Sterling Sharp runs his post pattern from the right, and Todd Light quite correctly moves to front the receiver as he approaches the goal line. But Brett Favre starts to scramble. When Light looks back for Favre, Sharp cuts to an empty acre of frozen tundra. The eyes have it. Sharp is the NFL's top receiver this season. When in doubt, throw it out. Eagles ball at the Washington 21. Randall Cunningham sees Andre Collins coming up the middle, but instead of winging an incomplete pass, he absorbs the sack. That pushes Roger Ruzek back from what would have been a 39-yard attempt in his 83% range to a 47-yarder in his 25% range. Ruzek's kick sails wide, and Philly's lead is stuck on 1. Next possession, here comes Fred Stokes. Does Cunningham repeat the mistake? When in doubt, throw it out. That strategy saves yards, keeping Ruzek in his 100% range, and the fans love the fringe benefits. In San Francisco on Saturday, 2 old fraternity brothers matched wits. On Bill Walsh's 1982 Niners staff, George Seifert was the defensive secondary coach. Sam Weish was the quarterback coach. Weich's Bucks run right. Quarterback Vinny Testaverde sells the run fake, hiding his right hand and looking downfield. The Niners are pursuing the flow, but they're being suckered. Gary Anderson reverses field. Note that all of the Bucks linemen have turned to block east and west. Seifert's defensive backs are now racing toward the line of scrimmage to stop the run, but it's the best executed flea flicker of the season. No one is within 10 yards of Anthony McDowell. The Niners would win the war, but the Bucks baffled them in this battle. Instead of deception, the Dolphins relied on perfect timing. The line of scrimmage is the 45. At the moment Dan Marino releases the ball, 69 Keith Sims is running full speed downfield, but at the 45 he is still legal in the neutral zone. Barino fires right to the slanting Tony Martin. If 88 Keith Jackson makes his block a 1/10 of a second earlier, he gets flagged for a pick, but he's okay. 3 linemen are downfield now. Martin breaks inside Jackson's block, then behind the picket line. Miami's back in the playoffs with Don Shula back to his old tricks. On the other side of the ball, one play illustrates the prosperity of Miami's '92 draft. The number 12 overall pick, Marco Coleman, gets tackled. That'll be holding. But the play continues, with number 7 overall pick Troy Vincent breaking up the pass. The kids do make mistakes too, but Miami can live with the rookies who have put the D back in the Dolphins.
We turned Chris Mortensen loose down in the Georgia Dome. He already came up with Michael Irvin, Emmitt Smith, and Mort has scored again.
Yes, now their employer, the old Arkansas Razorback himself, the Cowboys owner, Jerry Jones. Let's go to Mort live in Atlanta.
All right, well, I have the owner of the NFC East champion, Dallas Cowboys, Mr. Jerry Jones. Congratulations, Jerry. Just what your thoughts on the turnaround from 1-15 to 12 wins and a championship right now?
Well, I can't say enough about the players that are still on this team. We're there at 1-15, and you know who I'm talking about? It's our fans. They were with us at 1-15. They started having confidence in us in 1990, and if my smile's off my ear, then I want to show it here, but I'm really proud for all the Cowboy fans all across this country.
Let me ask you this. When we visited in training camp, you were talking about playoffs, not necessarily championship, or were you just holding back on me?
Well, basically, we all thought that and hoped that we could be in the playoffs, and would have been really disappointed had we not been in the playoffs. But we have the youngest team in the NFL. Hoped that by the time we could get to the playoffs, we would have had the experience to maybe be a real contender. And I think we're that. It feels good to be the NFC East champion.
Let me ask you, we had 2 of your stars, Michael Irvin and Emmitt Smith, on earlier. You signed Michael Irvin to an extended contract. You avoid his free agency years. What are you trying to do with Emmitt Smith?
Well, of course, Emmitt's in finishing his 3rd year, and I don't know that the system will allow him to be a free agent in his 4th. I'm doubtful that it will, but so we may not have that to answer next year. But Emmitt is a part of the Dallas Cowboys. He symbolizes our star. He's a great player for us. He's been a part of getting us where we are right now, and I want him to always be a Dallas Cowboy. I think Emmitt wants that too. I know our fans do.
I'm going to ask you, if you had a franchise exemption to use, would you use it on Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, or Michael Irvin?
Well, now you're getting ahead of the system. You must know something I don't know. Have you been listening to the meetings tonight up there? But we'll take a look at it. I know this, that whatever the system is, I feel like the Cowboys can sharpen our pencil and be resourceful and make it work.
Well, congratulations to you. We're going back to Sportscenter right now.
All right, Chris, thanks very much. And a man who has met his share of critics this season wants to go through it all over again. Mike Ditka, whose Bears sank to 5-10 Sunday when they were vivisected by their rivals, the Lions, says he wants to finish out the 3rd year of his 3-year contract. One snag, the 3rd year is not guaranteed. Don't worry, says Mike today. I'll be back.
I don't care about contracts right now, Wally. What I care about is trying to play respectable against Dallas and try to win the football game. And the thing I feel bad about is, as I said on the air last night, I'm sorry we couldn't give the fans of Chicago a better Christmas gift than this. My job is not to be competitive or to win 10 or 11 games a year. Our job is to win the Super Bowl. That's basically what these coaches and this coaching staff thinks about to a man. If your goal is set lower than that, I don't think you're accomplishing anything. If you say you want to be competitive, or you want to win some games, or you want to make money, or you want to do this, that's wrong.
Late in the afternoon, Ditka met for half an hour with Bears president Michael McCaskey, but did not even stop to glare at reporters, let alone talk to them after the meeting.
Still to come on the show, college hoop highlights, including #1 Duke as they hook up against DePaul. Also highlights of Michigan's Fab Five. And a reminder, coming up at the bottom of the hour, you'll see these guys. LSU